This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Roosevelt City Council. The time, date, and place of this meeting has been placed on our website and the state's website as far as city meetings is concerned. It's also been placed on this building and given to each member of the governing body here and to the press, and we invite and welcome everybody here with us tonight who's been able to make it. You're all very special guests, but we especially appreciate seeing these young men here, these young scouts, and Steve is their leader, and we appreciate you bringing them, Steve, and being here with them. We'd like to start our meeting off tonight by having a roll call. In doing so, I'll mention right off the bat that Councilman Troy Rohr has called and said he would be unable to be here tonight. With that in mind, we'll go on with the roll call from there. Dustin White.
Here.
Joe Burdick.
Here.
Aaron Waite.
Here.
Albert Foster.
Here.
Okay, I've asked our Finance Director and Assistant City Manager, John Zillis, to give us an opening prayer. After the prayer, if you would stand and follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Our dear Father in heaven, we thank Thee for the opportunity we have to serve in this community. We're grateful for the blessings which we have here in Roosevelt, and we are mindful that it is from Thee, and we're grateful, Father, for Thy love and Thy kindness to us. We pray that Thou would please bless this meeting, that it will be directed and guided by Thy hand, and that those decisions that are made here and discussed, that they can be made in a manner of wisdom and guided by Thee. We say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If each of you young men, scout age, would like to come up, I've got something here I'd like to give to each one of you. Appreciate you being here with us tonight. Hi, what's your name?
Hank Tribe.
Hank? There's a little flashlight. Thank you for being here. Your name?
McLean Brighton.
McLean. And for you?
Rich Burgess.
Rex Burgess. There you go. Thank you.
Connor Rice.
Connor. There you go. Thank you. Let's go on to the minutes of our last meeting. This is the meeting that was held September 5th. Are there any additions or corrections to page 1 of those minutes? Page 2. Page 3. If not, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilman White. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconder from Councilman Burdick. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Minutes are accepted. We have one main agenda item today, and you can follow us up on the big screen on the walls if you want to follow along, but that's the 2017 Hancock Cove Sewer Project and Agreement, the Design Assist Contractor Award, and kind of gives us an update of where we're at on that project that we've been working on for quite a long time. And Do you want to have Eric take the lead on that? Ryan? Eric Major's here with us from Jones and DeMille Engineering, and we'll just give him some time to catch us all up. Sure. As long as you don't get out in the hall.
Oh, thank you, Mayor. Just to give everyone a quick update in the council, we are moving right along on the Hancock Cove Sewer project. If you remember, one of our approaches to the project was to have an early contractor design assist procurement method. And we received proposals and bids. If you remember, we also pre-qualified 7 contractors a month ago. And of those 7 contractors, 3 contractors submitted proposals this past Friday. And that was Condi Construction, KW Robinson Construction, and Verdict Materials / Nelson Construction.
Eric, I'm sorry, but for you young men particularly, in case you don't know, if you look at that picture up on the screen, the right section there that's kind of light colored is Roosevelt City as we have known it in the past. Where the dark blue lines are is Stonegate subdivision out over the hill, and they have annexed into Roosevelt City in the last few months. And part of the reason for doing that is we are in a project now where that line, as it extends on down and connects to the yellow line and then comes over, that is the projected sewer system to connect them into the Roosevelt City sewer. And this has been a major project for us, and so in other words, the top of the screen is to the north, and Roosevelt's off, as we knew it, was off to the right. That Stonegate is now part of Roosevelt where the dark blue is, but that's what Eric Major is talking to us about, the engineer. Just to give you an idea of what we're talking about, okay? Sorry, Eric.
No, that's perfect. I thought maybe I should take a couple steps back, just for background from everyone. So the proposals that we received, there were 2 parts to them. We had a proposal section where the contractors could submit some of their ideas, their approach to the project, their schedule. We had some items on how they would manage the project, how they would interact with the public and the homeowners there. A couple of the tasks that they would do on the design assist part would be taking some exploratory excavations, digging some test holes, checking for any conflicts with the existing utilities, things like that, and also helping locate exactly where we want to tie into every home. So currently, all those homes, they have septic tanks, and all of them will have a unique way of tying them in, and that also affects the design of the sewer, because we need to make sure the sewer is deep enough to then service that particular home. So some of them will have to come around the back, and that's something that we felt the contractor would really be beneficial to help us out. It also accelerates our schedule and getting someone on board by having someone help with that as well. So the 2 parts that they submitted was the proposal and then a sealed envelope that had their bid for the design and the quantities that we submitted for the request for proposal. So that was the design was at a 30% stage at that point. And we evaluated the proposals and scored them based on those 8 requirements. I think if you have that up there. Thank you, Ryan. Those are Ryan's pulling up the scores that we gave. We met on Monday and went through those proposals together, established a score for those 3 contractors, and then after establishing that score, we opened the sealed portion of their bids, and that would be that bid tabulation that's just above there. As you can see, the high score we granted Condi Construction an 82, Verdict an 80, and KW Robinson a 65. Total possible points were 100 points. And then from that score and the bid tabulation, so the bid tabulation, you're familiar with that. You know, there's a dollar amount, a unit price for every item that gives a total construction bid on this 30% design. So we took that grand total on the bottom there, our engineer's estimate was 4.6 million. Condi was slightly above that, 4.67. KW was 4.6, and Burdick was 4.7. Took those cost bids, and then took the RFP score based on the formula we gave them during the proposal stage, and combined the two, actually subtracted the bid to give them the value from their RFP score to find the best value determination. So that dollar amount on the very bottom is what we use to make this selection. That's not the contract amount. That purely is the RFP score combined with that formula with their bid of the 30% design. Stepping back on the 30% design and also the quantities that we submitted, we tried to illustrate kind of the worst case scenario. We feel that once a contractor's on board and some of the design value engineering that will happen with them, that we'll be able to reduce this price. So this dollar amount, the construction bid, that's not the final contract price. Tonight, our recommendation is to award Condi Construction the design assist portion of this contract, which is towards the top at $30,183, to then team with us in the city and help us finalize the design. And then at that point, once the design is finalized and the quantities are finalized, we will work with Condi Construction, get a final construction price. If that is not acceptable to the city, there is that option to go to the next bidder and negotiate a price with them. But we followed all the procurement policies with the DEQ funding, of having like a 30-day window for the disadvantaged businesses, and some of those American iron and steel requirements. All those requirements have been met with this process. Now the city's able to expedite the contract. The intent would be to work with Condi and to come down to a final price that's agreeable. But there is that option too if that doesn't work out. So, any questions at this point of this process, or the numbers or scores that were given?
Any questions or comments from the public?
I have a question. Have you worked with Condi before?
I have not worked with them in Passive Jones Engineering. We did during the RFQ stage. We've had others in our firm that have worked with them, but we also specifically called on at least 3 references that had worked with the team that they proposed. So Condi is a large enough company that they've got several different superintendents. So they were required to give us the team that they were going to put on this project, and then we called references specific to them. I think Kirby came in and spent a little time with one of our staff members and called them. We've had good references on Condi. Their proposal also was very thorough. They by far asked the most questions during the bidding stage, and they had a very detailed schedule. You could tell they'd broken down step by step and road by road what their work plan would be. So they got some good points that way. And they also have dedicated people on the project. So
One question I have here. I thought their Gantt chart was impressive as well, the detail they had for the organization of it. Did the other bidders submit the same type of a Gantt chart, and were they able to meet the same type of a timeline in the design process, the design assist process? Was everybody coming in at the same time?
they varied. I want to say KW Robinson and Burdick they both submitted schedules. Burdick's, I don't know if the copy that you have, they had a similar kind of Gantt critical path type schedule. KW Robinson had kind of a bar chart schedule. In the RFP, we kind of gave them some leeway to talk about schedule and how long they felt it was going to take. We gave a deadline of June 1st for final completion, but also said the city could entertain up to a month cushion from that point. I think KW's was
I think they were at 6 weeks after the June
close.
deadline, so they were out, they were just outside of that. Bonnie would have been right in line with that, and Burdick was a little bit beyond the initial ideal deadline.
I might mention, some of you may be aware of this and some not, but it was on the chart, but I realize there's a lot of stuff to read on there, but we automatically gave 5 points to any local construction companies, that meaning in Duchesne County, because we want to support local as much as we can, but we're also spending tax dollars. And I think it's the last one over. If you see, yeah, there's 5 points for the two here in the county that was added there. Like I say, we want to support our own county and our own people, but we're also spending tax dollars, and so we threw that in there to give a little advantage if possible to them. So.
Right. And going back to your question on schedule too, you can see kind of the point spread on the schedule, and that reflected both the thoroughness of the schedule, but also the dates, when they had proposed to finish. So, and just so you know, on the local preference, we had 5 points for being in Duchesne County, and then 10 points if they were in the city. But none of the pre-qualified contractors actually were directly in the city. So, good questions.
Any other questions? Do we need a motion to go
We
forward?
want a motion to approve issuing the contract. That would be,
If you had more, Eric, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but.
No, that's it that I have. And I have a few hard copies too if you needed a bit tabulation thing out larger if you wanted. So.
I would like to make a motion that Roosevelt City awards the contract to Condi Construction.
Thank you, Joe. Do you have a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
Councilman White? Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Good job, and we appreciate your work on this.
You're welcome.
Your company, if you'll pass that on, we appreciate it.
Well, I'll leave these documents for you to sign later too if you'd like.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. I think we passed the purchase orders around. I think everybody got a chance to sign them. Is there any questions before we ask for a motion on those? If not, we would entertain a motion.
So moved, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman White. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Councilman White. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We'll go then to our reports from the standing committees. Let's just follow the list as we go down so the audience can follow along with us. Parks and Recreation, that would be for Albert and Dustin to both comment if you have some areas that you'd like to discuss or follow up on. Albert?
We had our park meeting Monday, and they're wrapping up in a few areas and starting up in others. So we started getting sign-ups for junior jazz and volleyball, but they're shutting down, getting done with the soccer and football. If you notice on the baseball field, the softball fields at the Constitution, they cut out a bunch of grass, and they're just rounding out to make them the proper size so people can round the bases and not run in the grass.
Slip and fall.
Did a lot of good work. Can't think of anything else that they're working on that needs to be discussed here. Brian would be.
I think they're just planning for when the shut off the sprinklers on the
Right.
Curious about shutting that off will probably be first part of November. And we have sent out and looking for donations for new dirt for the help, that would allow us to bring in some dirt that would be, real baseball dirt rather than
Better
just,
dirt.
yeah, anyway.
How many
that's what we're
fields
looking for.
did they decide to do that on?
3. Yeah. So, anyway, we're trying to improve it, as we can get some help, we're looking for that.
They sent that out to 30 companies, and they're also going to work with our VBA to find out if they know other people that they can work with.
Part of the reasoning for that is the Little League is going to have a tournament here in Roosevelt this coming spring, and so they started measuring our fields, and that's part of cutting out the grass is because they weren't up to specs as far as what they needed to be on those Little League specs. So, and they're trying to get that to where they can.
Grass encroaches over the years.
Yeah.
Parks and Recreation reminded me, and I'll just mention it to the public, if any of you know of anybody who needs an Eagle project, the city does try to come up with some that benefit the city that hopefully Eagle Scouts they're trying to get their Eagle anyway, can utilize some things that benefit the community also. In my mind, I was automatically thinking in our new Centennial Park down by the new elementary, there's one of those big Connex storage facilities, and it needs painted so it doesn't have a sign on the side, and we'd like to get that painted and be an example of what we ask people in the community to do if they have one of those, is to paint it up and make it look acceptable. Of course, that would have to be approved by Boy Scouts of America, but there's projects like that that are out there all the time for guys to do, and I think most know that they can come to the city for ideas, but maybe not everybody. So if you think of anybody that needs a project, we would try to help them if possible. Did you have anything else?
No.
Okay. Next is capital projects, Joe and Aaron.
I think the biggest capital project we just discussed, and also the chip seals that are going on around town, they look great. Appreciate the patches that have taken place. I've noticed, I don't know who's doing the patching, but it's probably some of the best patching you've had.
CKC is doing a lot of it. It's a subcontractor for Burdick. So
It's,
They're a lot smoother than a lot of them.
yes, they're smoother than we've seen in the past, so appreciate that good work.
The storm drain is approaching the wash down there, or the drainage down
Any of
there.
you that don't know, that's down State Street where we had the floods bad last year. Putting in, what size is that, 48?
48 inch.
48-inch pipe. That's a pretty good sized pipe. You guys could swim through there if you wanted to. Anyway, we're trying to get that in to alleviate that problem, and they're working on that as we speak. So appreciate that, Joe.
Seems to be going good.
Okay. Finance and audit. Troy's not here, but I was able to attend a meeting and with John and Ryan, and John is doing a great job. I can honestly tell you, with as far as our finances in the city, in my perspective, he does a great job. We had our accountant here, and he even made the same comment that he hadn't ever seen books in that proper order, and what a great job he was doing. I asked him to quit giving him too many accolades, or he's going to ask for a raise. But he's a great guy, and he's doing us a good job. And I want you and all the public to know that Roosevelt City is solvent. We're not wealthy, but we're doing fine, and we're weathering the storm, so to speak. UBIC and Mud Run, Aaron, anything on those? I know they're passed, but okay. Beautification, cleanup, and Basin Arts Council, Dustin?
Other than the fall festival coming up, I think not nothing else to report.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development, Planning and Zoning, Joe?
You know, I've missed the last couple meetings and I don't have anything. If there's something you wanna add?
No, our meeting would be tomorrow, and we have an agenda. It's been pretty light the last couple months, but we do have a full agenda for tomorrow.
Okay.
For next week, not next week, not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow, next Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, on the 27th.
Okay, and Troy's not here on the Chamber of Commerce and Emergency Management. UBAG and mosquito abatement, I can report that there will be a meeting tomorrow afternoon at 2 o'clock with, at the UBAG building. This is concerning the future direction of the BTA, the Basin Transit Association, the buses that go from Duchesne to Vernal and places in between. And we've been having some meetings occasionally on that, but there is one tomorrow. Mosquito abatement, we meet tomorrow night, so just a little bit ahead of the meetings on both of those, but we're kind of starting in the wind down part of mosquito abatement this year. They're not quite as it cools down, we don't have quite as much of a concern as we do earlier in the year, but everything seems to be going okay there. Anything from the airport, Albert?
No, man.
Okay, could we get a report from our city manager?
One thing on emergency management, the LTC committee meets monthly over in Duchesne, and that has been a good resource. We're able to meet as both county, city, and various other leaders in that organization, and Troy did attend that one. But this last one was on disaster response and working on what happened in the disaster we've had. If there's an outbreak, what happens, if there's different things. And so it talks about different types of disaster. So anyway, if anybody else is interested in being able to participate there, they do take people from the community on it. So I know that Roosevelt and some of the other oil field companies have people there. So anyway, if others are interested in being a part of that. We have talked about most of the parks. The Airport Operators Conference is coming up here in October, and so we'll go down there and discuss what's going to happen with the runway. We're looking for, and I think we've talked about it before, but looking for a redo of the runway, and then also adding a parallel taxiway onto it. So we continue to work on that. It's something we talked about a lot with the FAA, and then eventually, finally, there's money that'll come a few years down the road. So it's something we talk about, we plan for, and we look at. Anyway, so that's coming up. Just a few on finances, and we talked a little bit about it, but to kind of do a little brief overview here of some of the finances to kind of show you. We'd like to maybe go here to I had it pulled up. So this is done by the Department of Workforce Services. And it's kind of interesting to see where the county has been with an unemployment, and to watch to see where our finances, where the economy as a whole is at. You can see that we had in 2010 we had over a 10% unemployment rate in the county, but the state and the federal government, or the United States as a whole, had a high unemployment at that point. The state of Utah has continued to decline in unemployment, which is good. The national has declined, but there in 2015 we skyrocketed back up to about 10% unemployment. We've kind of seen that come back down and coming back to a 5.8 unemployment in the county. The state of Utah is still 3.5, and the United States as a whole is 4.3. So we're coming back into line, but we have had a fairly significant downturn as a county. So kind of give an idea of how our finances as a city have gone over that same period of time, and kind of give an update of where we're at and what we're seeing. You can see that our sales tax, that tax, highway tax, these are the major cash receipts that we collect. And so what I've done is I've compared sales tax as a whole. So that's the total sales and use, ZAP, highway, Prop 1. Those are all related to sales tax. Those come off there. So if we look from our peak in 2014, that's when we peaked. And from that peak, our low in 2016, we were down 31.5% on our sales tax collection. So very significant decline. We've seen some improvement. So we're down only 20% now. So although we're still down off of our peak, we have seen some improvement. As we look at our total general fund, we see that we dropped to the total general fund almost 19%. But with some of the things we've been able to do, and that we're at 10.5% down. But as we look at total revenue, including charges for services and any of the other things that we've done to be able to improve our revenue position, we were down 11.88%, and at this point, off of our peak, we're only down 2.3% of revenue. I believe that is because we're looking at the resources we have and trying to magnify those. That gives us so that even in the years in between 2008 and 2012, we still didn't have the revenue that we have in this year from all the things that we have. And to kind of give an idea of where our taxes are versus where our general fund is and how that plays out. So just kind of showing you, kind of give you an idea of where we're at. The other one we show is
I have a question, Ryan.
yeah.
Have we seen anything for online sales tax yet?
We've seen a little bit from online sales tax, so that has helped us at that point. So it has brought in some. I don't know exactly the percentage. I don't remember that.
When did that start coming in?
I think it was March, April,
Spring sometime.
mid-spring. So anyway, kind of gives you an idea of where we are as far as financial revenue, and as we manage costs and others, our revenue is coming back in line, and so we're happy about that. We've seen the attraction of a number of businesses. Planning and zoning, we have a few that are coming there to be able to apply for permits. So we believe we're in a good position that we're making progress. We're not out of the recession completely, but definitely making progress. So anyway, I want to share kind of the economic and financial update of where things are looking. So,
Okay. We had, I believe, 3, if not more, members of our staff go to Utah League of Cities and Towns meetings this last week in Salt Lake City. And I believe Dustin was there for all of it, and also Ryan, our city manager, and John, the assistant manager. I'd like to just give each of you a minute to say how the conference went, and if there was any specific item that you learned that you think might be of interest to the rest of the council and to the public. Start with you, Ryan, if you
start
would.
with me. I think they're always very interesting. I think that some of the things that we learned, I'll drawing my notes from it. But I think, being able to have customer service, we talked about customer service and some of the different aspects of how we, as a city, work to be able to be good customer service. And that we still have that, and it's a good one. We talked about, I think on the spot there, so, there were a number of good ones. We had, motivational speakers. We had Jim Lovell come and speak and talk about the Hall of 13 and how,
13.
What's that?
13.
Hall of 13. Yeah,
Is that what you said?
that's what I thought.
Oh,
It's Hall of 13. And
I thought he said
very
15.
good, management and saying, hey, not every time is everything gonna go right. You gotta be prepared for the unexpected. You gotta be prepared to be able to react when something changes, to be able to be there, and change the spot. We had one, speaker that was, Jay
McFarland.
Jay McFarland. He told of his experience through, being kicked out of the house, leaving the house, I guess, and going through, a lot of different trials and challenges and eventually ending up homeless and where he came back from being homeless to be able to be a top shelf. And some of the encouragement that, when you see somebody, you don't know what they've gone through, and you don't know the experiences that they have, and to be able to understand that, you've got to be able to see past what's on the surface, because there's probably a lot more to the story. And if we could see everybody from the full aspect of their story, we'd probably see them differently. And I thought that was a good one. So those are a few. I'll pass to the next one.
We'll go around, and if you have the brainstorm one, we'll come back to you. John?
I was just looking through my notes. I had a thought that I'd be asked to share, so I thought I'd better bring them in. Some of the things that they talked about were utilizing the state contracts, which we've trained our employees on utilizing state contracts, because the state will do negotiations with different vendors and get some pretty good deals on pricing, and then we're able to actually use that state contract pricing website, which we know about. It was just nice to get some extra features and improved understanding of that process. Something else that I picked up was I went to an architectural standards class where they talked about other cities, what they're doing with trying to improve the standards of the front design of different buildings. And I really liked it because it provides some type of standard. It doesn't dictate every little thing of what a builder would be required to put on there, but it did give some ideas. West Valley City has an example of some architectural guidelines and standards that they've initiated into, I believe, code to try to improve the face of the city. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Something else that was interesting too is the class on cybersecurity, and it's a very real threat today. We have ransomware attacks all the time where people will go in and hack into systems and encrypt data, and then require a ransom be paid in order to have it fixed. And we have been meeting with our IT folks to try to improve that and make sure that we're ready and preventing those type of attacks. I really enjoyed it. Loved the conference. Learned a lot. It's nice to meet with different cities and see what they're doing to improve the city that they work for and live in. So appreciate it.
Thanks, John. Justin?
A couple of the things that stood out to me, Brian already talked about one, just the city as a service provider. And we have the obligation through working at the hospital, we've had this training to to treat the customer number one and go the every little extra inch you can to make them feel good about their experience there and feel like they're top priority. Sometimes we may in governmental roles not view it that way, but the more we can do to let people know that we as a city care about their concerns and want to try to help them not just be satisfied, because that's the expectation, but to be, you know, what do they call it, I can't remember what they called it, but not just a satisfied customer, but one that is loyal, will continue to come back no matter what. That's one of the things, one of the presenters talked about was in several cities, or probably in all cities where Costco, Walmart, and all these companies go to set up businesses, they send out people undercover before they even decide where they put the store. And they talk to people and they ask them, how do you like where you live? What's going on? If they run into some disgruntled people, this place not the right place. I wish I didn't live here. That's going to do more for killing businesses being attracted to your town than we as a city could give incentives for people to come in. So, and I'm not saying that there's not people that love to live here in Roosevelt. I know that there are lots, but you're going to have issues. You're going to have opportunities, and they said these are opportunities. Not that you want to have people have bad experiences, but whenever somebody has a complaint, that's your opportunity to make them a loyal customer, to leave after that and feel like their issue was heard and going to be taken care of. So I just felt like what a great resource that Utah League of Cities and Towns is, because they had the spectrum of things that applied to every city in the state, and then they had things that applied to the very smallest. I think the smallest town or city in the state is Schofield. They have about 20 to 30 people that live there, and you know, those things are mentioned, and they know about them and have the resources there. So we just need to continue to be open and learning how to serve the public and do our best to have our city be what we want it all to be.
Thank you. It's good to remember who you work for. Did Day Church do any presentations?
He did presentation on legal matters. I think that audience questions and addressed a lot of those. He's a good one to be able to answer different ones. A couple other ones I thought of as it went on. There was one that was on museums, how to get a museum started, and you know, if you want a museum in your community, what kind of the first steps were to be able to work towards that. And another one there was on mediation and the process that went through. What's the process of mediation? And you know, I know that we have some things that come up and happen, and litigation happens and they're everywhere. But mediation versus arbitration. So arbitration being you know, a binding result, mediation being a recommendation, but not binding on parties. So those are a couple other ones. It's good compliment.
Okay. Great. Anything else anybody has? We do have a closed session item, right?
We do, and Grant is running a bit late, but he will be here in the next 15, 20 minutes, I think.
Okay. Anything from any of the public that you'd like to bring up or concerns you have with the city? I think we do most things pretty well perfect, but.
I just have one question for Councilman Burdick. I guess you mentioned the storm drain project. I know on the website it says that it's, I think September 9th. I don't know if that's the start date. The website says it's the end date, but is there a timeline there as far as completion?
On the storm drain,
Is it on schedule that day?
it's a little behind because they ran into a lot of utilities and things, and of course that's normal. As far as the rest goes, they are running behind, but they're still going. I don't know if we have an exact updated schedule for a finish time.
I know they're trying to work weekends on for materials, and so I haven't looked at the schedule lately. I'm not really over that project, but I know we've run into, some wet soil conditions, and so trying to mediate costs and stuff with that, with import and export of material on the backfill, and run into, I think there's 2 pipes they run into that nobody is aware of that was carrying water that was saturating, causing a lot of slow production on the project, and try to get through that. I've had some, weather just the last week or two with the chip seals kind of delayed a little bit. I think we're on schedule to have everything chipped the end of this week. Or eventually, we should be brush coating next week. Storm drain, we're pushing the subcontractor we had out there to push on the, working weekends and some other hours. We're really pushing to have curb and gutter and pave in, before the end of October right there. Middle of October. Hopefully sooner than that, but I don't know.
That answer your question?
Okay, thank you.
Good question. Okay, well, I guess we will entertain a motion to go into a closed session and return hereafter. Anybody would like to make that motion?
I'll make that motion, Mayor. Go into closed session to discuss litigation
Thank you, and then return
after our
after. Okay,
closed session is complete.
have a motion? Is there a
I'll second that.
Second from Councilman White. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we again appreciate all of you being here. I think,
I realize that scout came in late. Do you want to
yeah, so I was just gonna say, I think we had one scout that came in after, right down there on the end. Would you like to come up? I've got something here for you. Don't want you to feel left out by these other guys. You can hide under your covers tonight and read a book. Thank you. What's your name?
Hudson.
Hudson? Thanks, Hudson, for being
Thank
here.
you.
You bet. Okay, and thank you all for your attendance, and we appreciate it. Take a little break.
Little break, little recess.